lot of cattle videos recently because that's a lot of what we're doing in the winter is taking care of cattle. But I thought I'd make a vlog today about what's going on in the fields because there is still a lot happening in the fields during the winter. So right now I'm starting in a wheat field, and we got a really nice rain and snow, really nice for the fields, especially the wheat this past week, and you can see it's melting off today. So you can see the wheat growing there in the snow. The wheat doesn't look like much right now. It's pretty small, and it is in dormancy is what we call it, and it's not really growing on top, but that doesn't mean that action isn't happening. The roots are growing, and on during warm spells it will be growing and putting its roots down, even though it's not growing on top much, just because it knows that there's still going to be cold nights coming that would be hard on it, and so it's focusing on its roots now. So even though it's not growing much on top, it is still putting its roots down, which is good to prepare it for spring when it does warm up and green up comes, so it can grow real fast. And this moisture will definitely help it in soaking into the soil profile on all our fields, and allowing that wheat to kind of get charged up and ready for spring. So we are pretty happy about the moisture there, even though it is a little hard on the cattle. As a farmer, you like it. You can see some tracks here. A couple weeks ago, when it was still dry, I drove through our wheat fields to check for weeds and just stand establishment, because we will be fertilizing here soon. Hopefully we get another nice spell in the later spring when we will top dress the wheat is what we call it. We will put on nitrogen fertilizer. Then it will have its fertilizer there for the spring when it does most of its growing and determining of yield. I thought about top dressing it last week before this rain and snow came, because the rain and snow would have been real nice to take that fertilizer down into the soil where it would be there and ready for the spring. But it was a little early for what we usually do, and the nights were still pretty cold. I'd rather wait till it's a little warmer and the days are a little longer so I can just get it all done at once. And there would have been a little risk that I didn't get it all done, and then you have to deal with all the prep and stuff again. So it's nice to just be able to do it all at once. I have done that this winter. I've already kind of done a preliminary scouting of weeds, so I have an idea of that, and I have checked our soil samples, and am coming up with how much in we'll put on each field. This field was wheat on wheat stubble, so you can kind of see the angles. We drilled at an angle into the old wheat stubble. It kind of makes cool lines in the snow. And the wheat stubble and milo stubble is working well to catch the snowfall. This last snow didn't blow very much, but it did blow some the next day. And where we have stubble on the fields, it will catch that blowing snow and help store it, and then when it melts, it'll soak right in. I'm driving by Greg's sunflower field here, and sunflower roots are really good in the winter because they're real big. I think the agronomy term would be they make macro pores in the ground, not just micro small roots, but they have macro holes in the ground, big holes in the ground essentially, so that water can infiltrate real well, and that will also be good in the spring. And all those roots are breaking down, especially on warmer days. You know, they're breaking down but leaving gaps for water to be able to run into the soil profile and save up for the next growing season. This field was double crop soybeans, similar to sunflowers, just not quite the aggressive root structure and aggressive rooting that sunflowers provide, but they generally, we like double crop soybeans better than sunflowers, but sunflowers are a little more drought tolerant, and of course Greg likes them for his agritourism. This ground will also already be loosened up well, so then we can just field cultivate, or possibly disc and field cultivate, and smooth it flat and prepare the seed bed in the spring. And then if we flood irrigate it again, it'll be loosened up so that when we run the furrower, it'll furrow a lot nicer than if you don't deep till it. On our more hilly fields, we earlier this fall, when we were kind of doing this fall tillage, we hooked on to our old plow, and I actually plowed up some terraces that were getting a little shallow. Okay, so as you can see, the snow is mostly all melted by now. Also, it's windy, so hopefully you can hear me. But I am now in the field that we had a forage or cover crop growing on over the summer, and it was a really dry late summer and fall, and so we didn't get as much growth out of it as we wanted, but we still had the cows on here for a pretty long time, so they grazed a lot of it down, but you can see that our soil is still mostly covered, and so this soil is just acting as a sponge and soaking up all this water real well, and all those roots from the summer are allowing pathways for the water down in the ground. You can see this radish isn't even dead yet, it's alive, and we probably haven't had enough cold weather to freeze it. So I like the potential of this for sure, to do more of, and also doing some more fall planted cover crops, because then you have those living roots in the soil during the winter months, and the more months we can have a living root in the soil, I think is the best. We didn't get as much rain as we'd like, so we didn't get as much growth off of it, and so it is what it is. And I still think you know, this system over the years is going to improve our ground, and in the spring when some big rains come, you know, that ground right there isn't gonna wash, shouldn't erode at all, and all that residue will really slow down the water that does end up running off of there. So after scouting the fields, and after the snow, during the snow when it's cold outside, I like to do the office work. And sometimes you have to do office work when it's nice outside, but a lot of times you can do it when it's cold or raining outside. And I have been reviewing our soil tests that Farmer's Edge Agronomy did for us, and I sent, or the soil tests go to our Farmer's Edge agronomist, and she puts them into our zone maps and gives recommendations, which is really nice, and saves me a lot of time and thinking. And she also did she can do prescription maps and send them to us. And we got some soil tests on our new alfalfa ground that we seeded last fall, and got some prescription maps per zone. And so while it was cold and nasty outside, I was still able to call the co-op and order this variable rate fertilizer to be put on our new alfalfa. And they actually have a machine that has 2 dry boxes on it and can variable rate 2 different products at once. So we're getting some phosphate and potash put on this new alfalfa ground. So even on nasty days when we're inside, there's a lot of bookwork and a lot of those type of things that we can get caught up on. And overall, you know, there's always something to think about. When I'm caught up on farm stuff, then I help my wife around the house with things. So just like any job or anybody, there's always something to do. So now you know kind of what's going on, even on the cropping side during the winter. And stay tuned for more things we're up to. And thanks for following. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And have a good day.